I thought today I would read some questions and answers from the channel. So I hope you enjoy and thank you for being here. What's the role of the heart? Adyashanti said awakening goes from head to heart to gut. Have you noticed this heart opening as a part of awakening? I'm not exactly sure what Adya meant. If I had to guess, though, it's when a person stops being as dissociated in thoughts and focuses more on sensations during intense emotions and triggers, or just in general, and dropping the story. Like holding space for the inner child instead of trying to pretend it's not there and trying to escape and deny the feelings. Then there can seem to be a slowing down enough to see that no one is doing any of it. And that can feel like a gut or existential terror and surviving feeling, like a falling. It's seen to have always been this way, effortless and automatic. And that can certainly change the relationship to thoughts and language and time and space and the idea of self. It's seen there is only enlightenment, no me. It has nothing to do with me. And there was never a process, actually. Mind awakening and heart and gut didn't affect anything because this has never not been enlightened. We are waiting for this, and this is here, now. Leela is the practice of sitting in silence, contemplating life, the tool we are to use. Or is it sitting in silence with no thought or movement? There are many contradictions in what I've watched, read, and attempted to understand. Yes, there are many contradicting messages out there. I remember when I was seeking how maddening it was to attempt to discern which way to go, what to practice, how to practice, etc. It was a constant navigation. It's an utterly desperate striving. And it took me 6 years to realize that nothing I do can cause what already is. No practice can lead to this already. The clarity seemed to dawn after I exhausted every dead-end road, after I found complete hopelessness and futility. I was stubborn and had to be completely humbled and defeated to finally see that nothing can cause what already is. No one becomes enlightened. Enlightenment simply already is. Everything is enlightenment. All my standards of what this is dropped away. This seeing gave me nothing I wanted for the self. It isn't for the self. It just is. It's all, even the seeking and confusion. This is it, my friend, the all in all, and there is no room for you or I here in this wholeness. I feel your pain. I know none of this makes sense until it does. I hope this helped at least in some small way, but I promise you that the suffering is the grace. It leads us where we have always been. This is fierce love, unconditional. It is, and no condition, however seemingly unclear, can change that. This is perfection of the imperfect. Here, now, already. I know this may be hard to hear, but we cannot be apart from this, ever. No practice can bring us closer to where we are now, in this immediacy. Next question. What are you trying to say? That reaching enlightenment does not mean anything in the end? Yes, enlightenment doesn't happen for a person. There can be a seeing that enlightenment is everything. That doesn't give the person anything or solve any problems. It's seeing that there was never an entity called me. Only appearances of self and other and things. This is enlightenment, already. Whether or not an apparent individual sees that, this is it. It's not what seekers think it is. This is what is seen. Liberation is everything. And we also use the word liberation to describe when it is seen. This doesn't need to be realized for it to already be what it is and isn't. The next questioner asked about meing and being, emotions, and the fear barrier. What I'm going to attempt to tell you is the exact reason why I try to talk about this. It's hard to explain and it's hard to hear. I sought, learned, practiced, did psychedelics, and everything I could think of to find liberation. I had all kinds of preconceived notions about what it would be like and what it would give me, and everything about this that I assumed was completely wrong. It was pretty humorous to finally see. We listen to teachers, and we don't mean to, but we assume we know what they mean, and we take the message and twist it in our minds and turn it into a thing for me. This piece is nothing like anything I thought it would be. It surprised the hell out of me. So if you can, anytime you have a thought about what this will be like, drop it. It doesn't help. In fact, it causes a lot of confusion. So I came to this path simply because I was sick and tired of psychological suffering. I thought liberation would make me into a better version of myself, make me motivated, stop the negative thoughts and emotions, make me unconditionally loving, wise, at peace, and on and on and on were the ideas in my head of what this will give me. None of that is what this is. I was waiting for my personal criteria to appear so that I would know I was awake. That never happens. and it's not what this is. When the clarity dawns, it is blatantly obvious that this has nothing at all to do with me and my issues. This liberation doesn't acknowledge us in the least. That's part of why people laugh so hard, because it's unlike what we thought. This isn't freedom for me. It is freedom from me. And this isn't freedom from thoughts and emotions. It's freedom for them. So what happens is we finally see thoughts for what they are. Ephemeral reflections of reality. They never tell the truth. Never. So as they are seen not to actually refer to anything, and it is seen that we aren't thinking them, the interest in them falls away, and there is no reason why they shouldn't arise, because they aren't personal, and they do no harm. They become like meaningless clouds in the sky, and are allowed, finally. There is no longer anyone to judge them. Same with emotions. They are just the body processing trauma, completely innocent and natural, without believing the idea that I am responsible for my feelings. All of the insights on time, space, emotions, thoughts, doership, and all the things teachers talk about come after the simple seeing that, holy shit, no one is doing this. There is no ghost in the machine. There is nothing wrong with anger. After liberation, anger is allowed to be, and it literally says and means nothing about you. I never suspected that when I was seeking. I thought, quote, negative emotions would fall away. Not at all. That's a myth and a thought that's believed. After liberation, there is simply no one to judge reality and say it should or shouldn't be this way or that way, or this thought and emotion means this. It doesn't. It's meaningless. It's life being creative and rich and beautiful and telling stories. It is very good and healthy to feel emotions deeply when they arise. That's integration. Without the story. A story can arise without meaning and interest in it. After liberation, there can be anger or any thought or emotion. They are free to finally be. It's seen to be perfectly imperfect. That's the peace. And that is real love and compassion. That's what unconditional means. Not dependent upon conditions. It can be no other way. The meing and being thing is very common, and we can seem to get stuck there. It is perfectly normal, as is being hard on yourself for not living up to whatever standards we hold in our mind. Yeah, the fear barrier is real. It's different for everyone. For me, it was fleeting moments of visceral terror that happened randomly for a time before the sense of self fell. So when we see that there is no self, that isn't a state. It was obvious and ordinary, and nothing really changed. Most anything can still happen, and all states can happen even after seeing no self. It is simply seen that no one is doing anything because there is no one. So things come and go, being present or contracted. All that can still happen. Everything just simply is what it is, without the possibility of it being another way. No right or wrong. Seeing no self isn't a state. It just is, and has always been. And it's seen that process is an illusion. Nothing can cause it or prevent it from being already. It took me a day or so to even realize that it was seen, because I didn't label it. For me, it was very gradual and subtle. It was like, oh, this? It includes all states and is all. It's the ideas and beliefs that seem to mask the obviousness. But it is, now, right now, already. So no one actually becomes enlightened. Enlightenment just is. It can appear as meing and being, or anything imaginable. We think it looks a certain way. It looks all ways. There are no standards for it. Only beliefs and standards seem to hide it. I couldn't believe the obviousness and simplicity. It's so simple that we look past it, like a fish searching for water.